Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and I am Logie. You may want to look up the definition of that word. I took the green liquid death cough syrup last night. It conked me out. I took a sick day yesterday and didn't really talk a lot. I didn't really plan on talking a lot today. I'm still congested. I am not, necessarily getting worse, not necessarily getting better, but my nose doesn't hurt as much, the post-nasal drip thing. So, this is going to be a very non-talkative The LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. It's going to be a short one, which I realize is strange, but last night I had so much fun. I don't know if you caught it on Twitter, but I was using the Twitch chat room by way of IRC to chat, and I got a new sub. I got my very first sub on Twitch. Now, how long do I have to go till I match that on YouTube? A long way to go. But the cool thing is, I may be bringing back the chat room. A chat room, I should say. I'm bringing back a chat room. Just for the subs, I think. It's kind of what I wanted to do with the Patreon campaign, but Patreon just never supported chat. So I'll still do TLDR, specifically for the patrons. They get the tech bonusy thing. But Twitch doesn't like tech as much. Twitch is all about gaming and creativity. And tech is just not necessarily gaming or creativity, at least not the way that I like covering it. So the chat room may be separate. I wanted to do that for the patrons, but it didn't happen. But it would be 24/7, because you can log into IRC 24/7. I can chat even if I'm not game streaming on Twitch, but it would be happening specifically on Twitch through their sub system. You can sub to me on Twitch if you didn't realize that. But anyway, the chat room's coming back. I'm kind of excited about it. Like I said, I don't know how that crosses over with Patreon, but if I can work it out, because I do stream these videos live on YouTube for my patrons, what I may end up doing is, if you're a patron, I can't necessarily give you access to chat, but if you become a sub on Twitch, I'm thinking about just making sure that you get the links for TLDR, so you can kind of get the best of both worlds, so that, because the last thing I want to do is really, make people support me in multiple places. I mean, that's not really fair. So I'm going to do my best across the stream, so to speak, without necessarily violating any terms of service. I have to find out a little bit more. But in the meanwhile, chat, I'm so happy about that. I am. I really am. That's what I wanted in the day, back in the... Like I said, I am waking up. I'm already running a half hour late. We've got someone coming over to clean out the dryer vent here in another minute or two. So when the doorbell rings or you hear noise going on, it's because I'm streaming at home. This is another one of the goals that I have with the Patreon campaign, as well as the Twitch sub campaign. I'm trying to build a home, not a home office, a home away from home. I want to build a studio here in Seattle, where I can do all the gaming and streaming and everything, and also bring in other producers, local producers, or people who are traveling, or what have you. But that's my goal. It's a big goal. It's bigger than myself. But that way, every time I go to stream, I don't necessarily have to do it from home. You know what I mean? Jedi said, yeah, she knew what was going on. She had breakfast. Okay, so the question... originally was going to be, hey, what do you think about the LG V10? I was going to do the review. I wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to talk, but I shifted it. And really the question today is something that you're probably wondering, why is Chris talking about everything else except for the thing that I came here to hear him talk about? I've done a horrible job, I realize, but you know what? I'm still waking up. What do you want? How do you clean a touchscreen? Now, I know there are many ways not to clean a touchscreen, because you can damage the screen itself. You could wipe away the antibacterial coating. You could reduce its efficacy. And so I was very, very careful about doing research and making sure I got the right thing at the right price. Found these. Hey, I even tweeted this out 2 days ago. I'm like, hey, what do y'all use? And then I found these. They are Zeiss clean screen wipes, pre-moistened, individually wrapped wipes, and they still have I think it's a BlackBerry device there. That's how old they are. Not this particular set, but look, that's an iPad, so they're at least as old as the first iPad, and a laptop computer. So you've got to be careful about the chemicals that you use, so I choose to use pre-moistened wipes. Sprays do work with a microfiber cloth. That that definitely gets the job done. But I find that having pre-moistened cloths, and Zeiss has done a good job. I use Zeiss cloths for my glasses and for the vlog camera lens. But in terms of using that on the trackpads, or, well, I suppose I could on the trackpads. I mean, the touch-based devices like iPads. That's what I meant to say, or iPhones. I want to go with a cloth that is specifically designed with the right chemicals, not the wrong chemicals. Because the last thing I want to do is damage this investment. And I tell you, I had the iPad Pro for 3 hours before I realized I'm going to need to clean this on a regular basis, because the bigger the screen, the more gunk gets on it. Oh, and speaking of gunk, I sneezed on my iMac last night, and there's a lot of stuff on here. I may have to get back to it later. But the nice thing about the pre-moistened cloth is that it's not too wet, and it's not too dry, and I'm able to clean a multitude of screens on a regular basis. My iMac screen does not need cleaned off as frequently. And it looks like I can't really see the rest. Because you try to look at an angle to make sure you get all the spots. Because you don't realize, but you spit as you talk. And I will use one cloth like 3 times over. So there, I'm done with the iPad screen-ish. Maybe not. Dang, dude, every time I look, it's like I keep talking, so more spittle keeps coming out. Keeps flying out of my mouth. I'll put the link for you in the video description. But these have been working like champs. So there's the cleaner iPad Pro screen. It's a big screen, man. If you do not clean your iPad screen on a regular basis, you're not using it, because it needs to be cleaned. And then the iPhone, that's also important. There we go. Right. I just like clean screens. I like coming home to a clean house. I like coming home to a clean screen. You got to clean your screens. You don't realize how much gunk picks up and piles up on these things, especially the more you use them. So these are awesome. I'm happy enough with them. I will continue to use them. And it came in a pack of 200 for very, 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 very cheap. I thought very cheap, like $12 or something with Amazon Prime. So very affordable. Now, if you're the type of person that wants to reuse the cloth, fine, go that route, and the spray and everything. I've done that, but ultimately I find that it's it's a pain. Because then you're spraying, then you're wiping. Did you get the whole everything? I'm more inclined to use a spray on maybe an iMac, but you got to be careful with it too, because the reason why I wouldn't necessarily want to use it on an iPad or an iPhone, that's liquid that could seep in and potentially damage your components. That's true. So I'd much rather use like a pre-moistened cloth. It's still a little moist. I don't know if I'd want to continue to use it, because I've kind of been, moving it in different directions and touching it with my oils, and potentially decreasing the effectiveness of the pad. This pad. Sorry, this is not really a pad. It's a wipe. I like keeping things clean. And if you have an iPad Pro, screw it. Let's start calling the iPad Pro the iPad. Why not? Can we do that? It's easier. You ever had one of those days that you just knew was going to be one of those days? But at least my iPad Pro screen is clean, as is my iPhone screen. Man, you don't realize how slow that old Touch ID is until you've used the newer Touch ID. Okay, the iPad Pro Touch ID is slower. I admit it. It's older, but it's slower. Thank you, everybody, for asking that question. I did my own research, got my own stuff. We'll share that link. If you have a touchscreen device, you need something like these. This is just one of the containers that came with a series of them. You need this. You need this in your life. Clean your screens. It's disgusting if you don't. Seriously. Clean your screens. I can't wait to clean mine after I'm done doing videos this morning and everything else that I need to do. By the way, stay tuned to since this is a TLDR. I can't say anything too shortly. I got the Nexus 6P from Huawei. This is a sponsored device. Finally get it. This is something that I've been looking forward to. The Nexus 6P. This is the newer Nexus, the big phablet. Not from Google, from Huawei for Google. It's a sponsored engagement, so I'm probably going to be unboxing this. I wanted to do it today, but then I got sick. Maybe over the weekend, maybe Monday. It'll likely be a live stream in my classic YouTube channel, youtube.com/Chris Pirillo. Joe Tashi says, your desk is a big part of your videos. Will you have a replica in your studio? Yes! It sounds funny, I know. What I want to do, it sounds so stupid. What I want to do is basically build this somewhere else. Because that's all you see is this, right? But I basically get the same desk, same return, same everything. iMac, everything. And maybe there'll be like one telltale sign that, oh, that's not Chris. Chris is not at home or whatever. But I thought it'd be kind of neat. Don't you? That's a great question, Joe. Speaking of questions, I am going to move on to the AMA portion of TLDR right now. I've got a few questions that I need to answer, that I want to answer. This is with the patrons. You can become a patron, get all access to TLDR, more tech talk, more babbling with me every weekday. And then I'm going to go into tech news views. So tons more tech to tackle with you if you are a patron. If you're not a patron, well, you can become one. Get more tech talk from me and a little bit of babbling when Chris is having what feels like a Monday morning, but is actually Friday morning. Okay, let's go on to the AMA. Today's free podcast highlight was brought to you by all of my active patrons from ChrisPirillo.com. If you want access to the full TLDR episodes, both audio, video, past, present, and future, which can be up to an hour long or longer, with even more tech insight from me every weekday, plus other bonus content without ads, and support me at the same time, you can sign up to become one of my supernomies too. This is just a brief taste of what I'm producing for you daily. Again, get more through ChrisPirillo.com.